Lily, what's your book about?
It's about waffles.
What kind of animal or creature do you think Jelly is?
He's a spider.
Pull up a chair, pull up a chair. Here comes another chair chat. We're gonna talk tech. We're gonna talk tech. Tech, 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 tech.
This episode of Chair Chat has been inspired by one of the questions that has come up with just about every educator and administrator when they think about our youngest of learners. And that is, how am I supporting those kids in reading? We all know that reading is a very difficult process and one that takes some students a lot of time to master. And you know what? That's okay, because we know in Halton, we've always been there right beside those learners, supporting them forward. And a lot of our educators are so knowledgeable about the research-based practices that they're putting into place in their classrooms. But now that we're digital, not all of that research has been done in a digital context. And there are things that are different. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's take some of that great stuff that was helping in the physical classroom and let's take a look at it over on the digital side. So today, we're going to talk tech when it comes to running records. Diagnostic assessments such as PM benchmarks or JB Plus are part of our typical school year when we're in physical school and face-to-face. Now, those can't all be transferred exactly online. However, running records and observational notes are still really important tools to help us understand approximate instructional levels, independent levels, and identify strengths and next steps, both for planning and for the reader. So in physical school, remember it used to look like this?
This will help you become a safe stylist.
So how are we going to do this in a digital context? When learning remotely, we don't have access to those cute little books that we so often whip out when we're ready to do a running record. However, Pearson's Literacy Portal is a great place to find some level text that you could use. So here, I can apply the filter by unchecking everything and then selecting the reading level which would be appropriate for the running record I'm about to do. I can preview the books and select one that would be the best choice for the student I have in mind. I'm going to open this book and I'm going to provide this link here to my student. If you happen to have access to the books and their corresponding reading record sheets, well, that's great. But a lot of educators are just using a blank piece of paper instead and tracking along. If the book that you're using for a running record doesn't have a lot of words on each page, it's probably easiest to just track along on a blank piece of paper as your student goes through the 150 words you might use. However, on a more sophisticated book where there are more words on a page, what you may want to do is actually take a screenshot. Once you have that screenshot, how about flipping over to Jamboard? That screenshot I just took is sitting over on my desktop. So I'm going to click here for image. I'm going to upload, and I can actually just drag and drop that over, and it can upload into Jamboard. I could do the same thing if it was a picture that I had already, let's say, taken from a camera roll, or if I knew where the text was online. Any of these things are quite possible. Also, don't forget for some of those older students that where they might be self-selecting the book, you can ask them to hold up the book in Google Meet and you can take a screenshot of what they're displaying. To get ready to annotate, I'm going to get a little bit closer so I can actually see these words. You can see I could stretch it out or I can zoom in. Either way, as long as it's large enough that I can use my pen, it's just fine.
This will help you become a safe stylist.
Once you're all set, you know what it is that the kids are going to be reading for their running record, and you know what you're going to be recording it on, whether that be a piece of paper or a Jamboard. The next step is set up some breakout rooms. So I'm going to come over here to my activities menu. I'm going to click breakout rooms, and I'm going to set some breakout rooms up. So the first one, I'm going to call this student 1, and I'm going to call this guy student 2, and then I'm going to create one more room, and I'm going to call this reading aloud. Now, normally, I wouldn't necessarily need to worry about actually writing it as reading aloud. I could just shuffle my students through. However, I want to make sure that I'm keeping track, and I want to make it a good place for students so that they also know what the expectations are. You can choose to just use student 1 and student 2 if you want. So I'm going to put student 2 here, and I'm going to give them the instruction to spend the time in the breakout room all by themselves to quietly preview the text before they read it aloud to me. When that student has had enough time to preview the text, I'm going to move them down into the reading aloud room, and I'm going to join them there. Introduce what I would normally say at the beginning of a running record, and that's the place where I'm actually going to engage in that activity. When they're all finished, I'm going to move that student back up to the main meet. So once you're all ready, just go ahead and open the rooms. Check out school programs literacy page on my HDSB.